Yo guys, I'm Lone from Oasis. I'm your host today. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're just going to talk more about my layout of my gardens and not so much in depth of how I actually grow particular species of the plants, but we're just going to guide you guys go through how I arrange my plants based on the sunlight here, and also how basically I care for them and what's the routine that I did for them, and also the basic care for outdoor gardens, you know. So let us start with this part first. So as you can see, right, I always share a lot of photos on Instagrams. This is the part that I share usually. So during the daytime, this part receives most of the sunlight. So as you can see, the billet here receive since the morning, like right now, 10 a.m. until I think 3 p.m. in the afternoon. That's why the petal is really prominent in orange color, but it's kind of stressed out due to the heat and also too much of direct sunlight. But I think the plant can handle it, and the reason why I place this plant here is because I would like to have an impact when my guests walk up from the door, come to my garden. This is one of the plants that I want to showcase to the people. Other than that, usually I grow a lot of agave here. So all this agave can actually stand a lot of sunlight. They like immense amount of sunlight, to be honest, and agave is a particular species that are quite hardy in general. So I grow them in really porous media and a little bit more pin moss, cocoa coir, and some compost so that it can retain enough moisture for them when it's drought. So other than that, I gather most of my brominates collections here in front of my gardens. So you can see they receive a lot of sunlight, not only in the morning, also in the evening, especially this Colocasia. I forgot about the particular name for this species, but it has a really red, bright red flames kind of a color to showcase. It's really nice. So I'll just leave it here, and it likes immense amount of sunlight. Other than that, you can see there's another things that I would like to arrange together with my plants is Tillandsia. This is Tillandsia xerographica. I received a lot of personal message about this particular tree. It's actually a Buchida tree. It's a variegated one. I think me and my parents planted here when we moved into this house, I think 4 or 5 years ago. And it's not so big during the time, and they outgrown it within a few more years and to this humongous tree right now. So it's actually a really good for shade-loving plants like begonias and alocasias and some others particular species. They prefer to be more humid environment. So under the Buchida tree, right, I grow a lot of begonia species here, and also some shade-loving plants like Alocasia and some Philodendrons. Come, let me show you around. So as you can see here, this is the two particular begonias that it can be able to stands a bit of sunlight compared to usual Rex begonia. It's I think it's a begonia Sinbad. This one is called begonia boomer. When I got it, I have no reason why they call boomer. And some other things is actually called begonia white eyes. I've been growing this particular one for more than a year, and it's giving a lot of shoots. I would just have to cut it away and propagate. And other than that, I try to gather around all my begonias in one particular area so that they can increase the humidity level, and of course they prefer to be shaded. That's one primary reason why I grow them all together. So come over here. I have a lot of Philodendron that is growing too wild here. So it is the vibes that I wanted to create for my gardens, and the reason why I called it an Oasis, because my center theme of the garden is to trying to mimic the tropical gardens, where most of them are trying to emphasize in huge foliage and also shapes, textures. I think that's really important to have as an element in the tropical gardens. Come, let me show you guys one of my favorite Alocasia. So this is Alocasia Myanmar. I got it from my friends as a tuber, I think 1 year ago, and this is the particular favorite of mine. is because of the deep herbaceous color. You can see it's really burgundy, it's really deep purple. And this particular species can grow up to like 5 feet tall. That's what I heard. And it's a hybrid between Amazonica and Odora. And other than that, I like to gather a lot of begonias here. You can see the begonias fireworks, the begonias U series, and also some begonia imperialis. So this is, I'm trying to gather them around to increase the humidity so that they prefer the temperature is more constant compared to the one in the front parts of my garden. And other than that, I like to put a lot of crawler plants together. So I can show you this one. This is Philodendron white veins, gloriosum white veins. The lateral veins and also the primary veins is really prominent. That's why they call it white veins. And here during the daytime, it does not receive a lot of direct harsh sunlight. But of course, because of the Buchida, it filters out a lot of sunlight. So most of them, they prefer to be more indirect sunlight, and humidity level is more constant here because of the leaf litter. You can see here, all the leaf litters, and because of the gravels here, you can see all the roots are trying to grow into the gravel, and then they're starting to get rootings here. This is one of my Philodendron McDowell. So the humidity level here is high. I don't have a humidity level meter here to measure it, but of course, as you can see, it's a really high humidity level. One of the benefit of having a big plants here is a big tree, of course, is I get to hang around all my Tillandsias and my Bulbophyllum orchids here. As you can see, this is the only Platycerium that I have in my garden. So the reason why I hang it here, because during some seasons, right, the Buchita will drop a lot of leaves, and then most of the leaves later will drop at the back of the fronds, and it becomes a really good compost for the plant as a fertilizer. And the orchids here are getting a little bit more filtered sunlight, and I'll just hang them here. I think that's the way they like it here. And once in a while, they will just bloom, and you can see, I forgot about the name. I don't have a label, so I can't be able to tell you the name of the orchids. So come to the center part of my gardens here, and I think now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. So during the 10 o'clock, the sunlight is more gentle. So as you can see, most of the plants here receive the direct sunlight from this particular angle, and my house is actually east facing. So during the morning, the sun will get up from there. During the afternoon, it will stay here most of the day until 3 p.m. and then 4 p.m. drop over there, 4 to 5 o'clock, and then the sunlight is getting harsher. So during that part, it's only the Billietiae receive the most of the sunlight exposed to direct full sun. So here, because my house is intermediate, so most of the sunlight will only expose during 1 or 2 hours between these two areas. So as you can see, the reason why I plant Colocasia here, they prefer a lot of sunlight. And of course, it's a really nice plant to plant in the center as a showcase. So you can see, when you walk in here, the reason why I put Colocasia is that I wanted to have a place to focus on so that people can see the Colocasia. And of course, there's a lot of unintentional plants growing beneath there. Later I can show you guys. And other than that, I'm trying to create another level here. It's called Phyllanthus. Phyllanthus is a plant that will grow a lot of layers. If you allow them to grow without trimming them, they will grow a lot of layers coming out like a really nice textural leaf here. And then they are super hardy. They like a lot of sunlight and water. So to grow the Colocasia here, I raise up the soil bed. I plant them in a box. And then there's a lot of bricks around here surrounding them to prevent them maneuver to another side of my garden. So they will just grow within the box, plant the box, and then I would just harvest some of the part sometimes. And yeah, this is how they grow. And other than that, sometimes there was some Alocasia growing here. For example, this is the Alocasia albatu one. I never intend to plant it here, but then it just suddenly raise up from the soil bed and become one of the huge humongous plants. I would just leave it there. Most of my Alocasia will just pop up here and there sometimes within the pots. I have no reason why they are here, probably because I throw away some used soil or some dead Alocasia. So as you can see here, this is another black velvet growing up from my Philodendron mami pots. You know, I never intended to plant them here, but then they're growing happily here without any interruptions. This is Monstera deliciosa Thai constellation. So you can have a look. It has a really good genes. That's why you can see the creamy color splash everywhere on the single individual leaves here. I propagate them, I think half a year ago. It does not succeed. It's a failure. But then, lucky for me, after I cut it, it's growing 2 shoots right now. That's why there's 2 plants in 1 pot. I put it back first. Wait lah. Maybe you can film my workout, you know. Other than that, I actually put a lot of sun-loving philodendrons and some other plants that prefer to be more receiving more sunlight. This is Philodendron Washewicii. So I cut it previously. Same things. They start to produce 2 shoots. I'm too lazy to propagate again. I will just let it be there. And they prefer to be more drier side. They don't like too many water. I put a lot of pumice here, chunky pumice, so the waters can be able to drain out faster than usual. And other than that, Alocasia regersio is a hybrid of Alocasia adora with black velvet. So I grow it here. They prefer to be more sunlight. The velvety is one of the reasons why I love this plant. And come over here. Ta-da! So a lot of people ask me, how do I grow most of my plants in my gardens? So most of them I grow in pots so that I can arrange them. Other than that, some plants I will just straight away plant it on the ground. Are those plants that prefer to be more hardy, and also they're receiving more sunlight. And also the reason why I put it on the ground is when they grow, they can grow faster than usual, and they can actually create a canopy for most of the shade-loving plants. So I planted this bush, I think 4 to 5 years ago when I moved in here. And then I think during the time it's about 1 meter tall. Now it's already become one of the trees here. So I have this idea to put most of my Philodendron gloriorum on the ground so that they can crawl around to fully achieve their full potential. As you can see, this is the plants that I grow on the ground. This is the gloriorum, and basically they are receiving a lot of sunlight. That's why you can see some of them are not doing well because of the sunburn, scorch, but it's fine. They will grow back in no time. And yeah, I think there's more than 3 to 4 plants here. So come over here. I have one Alocasia macroiza variegata. I think you can have a look in Irene's YouTube video, Living Around. She interviewed me, I think 2 years ago. So I planted these plants on the ground at the front there. So of course, it started to deteriorating, right? So I dig it up, trying to grow them again back to the glorious, former glorious. I grow it in another pot with a really chunky media from the Plant Doctor's Magical Aroid Mix, you can see. And voila, I just place it here. And it's doing fine. It's as beautiful as ever. And have a look, the variegations. Of course, the white parts will burn off eventually, but it's fine. It's a hardy plant in general. And I put it here so that I can actually have a contrast between the greens, the reds, and some other plant that is green in color. For example, this Monstera deliciosa. I have these plants, I think, since I started my planting hobby. So I just put it there. I love the textures of the plants. It's a really decorate elements. It's a really nice one. You can have a look. So I love to plant most of my Alocasia underneath the big plants. So this is Alocasia cuprae, and another one is Alocasia aslanii. From my experience, I realized that Alocasia prefer to be more constant. They don't like to be being shifted around. They don't like to be interrupted at all. If you grow your Alocasia in one certain locations, they are doing fine. My advice is just let it be. Don't touch them. So I have these plants for more than 1 or 2 years. I've been shifting around, trying to find a good location for them. I think they like it here. All right. Like I said previously, I like to plant some plants in the ground so that it can eventually create a canopy for shade-loving plants. So I have this Maranta mannii. I'll just drop a link in the YouTube, or I'll just describe it in the YouTube later. So this particular Calathea, in general we call it Calathea, it prefers a lot of sunlight and is really hardy. So I grow these plants, I plant here. Underneath the Maranta, I have this Philodendron plumanii hybrid and Philodendron pasta silver, some magnificums here, and some others begonia, of course. So during afternoon, right, this particular area receives most of the sunlight. So this Maranta already create a canopy for the shade-loving plant as Aroid here. So they are fine. Alright, come to this part of my garden. So if you really log into my Instagram's highlight, right, I called it Oasis Garden 2.0. It used to have a lot of water garden here, some water ponds and things. But then the reason why I remove it is the plant's growing too fast. And I don't have time to care for the guppies anymore, so I removed them. So I try to focus to grow some plants that prefer to be more in higher humidity. So we start from here. This is Philodendron sp. Columbia. So I grow it in the pot, but then it starts to shoot out from the pot and it's crawling everywhere. So it used to be a unicorn plant for me, and I love it so much because of the heart shapes with a deep dark color of green foliage. Other than that, this particular Anthurium is more hardy than I thought. It's an Indonesian hybrid, I guess. It's a Papillaminium crossed with Magnificum. So it's from Indonesia, and it grew here for more than 1.5 years, and prefer to be on this spot. So I just let it be, and then it's doing quite well. The leaf is getting bigger and bigger. Probably I can take it out and show you guys. See. Yeah, become one of my favorite Anthurium right now. I grow this Anthurium in the really breathable pots from the plant doctors. So I grow them in a really chunky mix. So they prefer to be in the drier side. So I just water them once in a while. In general, I don't really water my plants daily. If it's raining seasons, I would just let it be. I would just come out during the night time to have a look around my plants to see what's the problem. I would just rearrange the positions again. But in general, I don't really put a lot of time and efforts into growing my plants. So other than propagating or repotting the huge plants, and that's all the things that I do. So the primary objective of my garden is to have a garden that is self-sustained. That's the objective of what I'm trying to achieve here, because I don't know what's the square feet land size here, but then my garden is actually quite huge compared to others' collections. So I don't have a lot of time to be more attentive to them one by one. So I really think that to be able to grow the garden outdoor, you need to let the plants to do the work by themselves. So for me, I think to create the structures that is right for them to grow is really crucial. So sustainability is what I'm trying to strive for here in my garden. Alright, let me talk about this particular tree ferns. It's a Cyathea. It's a lowland fern that can actually take a lot of amount of sunlight. So I grow this here. The reason is to have a filtering site for my Alocasia. So most of my Alocasias grow underneath the fern tree, as you can see. I love the textures, the velvety, and also the way they present their leaf and the foliage here. So I clump them all together so that the humidity level is higher in general, and they prefer to be more constant in temperature, so that when it's hot during the daytime, so tree ferns and most of the heliconia here will filter out most of the sunlight, and the temperature is more constant compared to the one that exposed to most of the sunlight there. So come over here, I have one Philodendron Sharonii. Of course, I think during 2 months ago, there's the drought seasons, and then this is the sun scorching the leaf. Bear in mind, I didn't clean up the garden before filming, right? So that I can present to you guys as authentic as it can be, so that to show you the side of the ugly side of growing plants, you know. This is all the things that I didn't showcase in my Instagram. So fret not. It's okay to have die plants, burning leaves, some yellowing leaf and spot. It's fine, you know, it's fine. Just relax, observe, and see how can they be able to grow. If there's a new shoots, try to observe and see. So come over here, there's a lot of Alocasia that I want to introduce to you guys. This is my favorite. I call it a Batman plant. If a Batman has a plant, I think this must be the plant that he has in his collections. It's Alocasia watsoniana, the velvety, and also the veins. It used to be so rare that I can't be able to find one in the nursery. We have to buy it from collectors. But right now, thanks to tissue culture, it's everywhere. So other than that, this is the Alocasia nebula, some Alocasia sp from Kalimantan, I think. Pink dragons, baginda, black velvets, another form of tissue culture, Alocasia baginda, dragon scale, princeps, Alocasia princeps, Sedenii. Some over here is Clipulata, green shield, and also Alocasia silver dragon, baginda silver dragon, and some cupre here, and I think this is called Alocasia black Saturn. So I grow them here. It's been more than a year and a half. They are doing quite well. I will just continue to grow them here and observe to see whether they wanted to be able to move and to see to arrange again. There's not much of thing I have to do here. All right, let me talk more about this Philodendron Sharonii. I grow this for more than 2 years right now. If you look into my Instagram, I grow it as a cutting plant from Ray, and then it starts to produce a lot of inflorescence. You can see the inflorescence there. So there's a lot of inflorescence. Yeah. Too bad I don't know how to pollinate. If not, I will have a lot of seeds. You know, and this is the size of the leaf that I have right now. Comparison. So come to my patio. I never really introduced myself as a Tillandsia lover, but I grow a lot of Tillandsia. To be honest, I'm actually a plant fanatic. I grow all kinds of plants, different species, different genus, to be able to observe how they grow. It's my primary interest. So I have this Hupasia. I think I have this more than 3 years right now. It's a Hupasia squarosa. I grow them in the orchid pots. And then in the center core is actually pine bark, cocoa husk, and I try to cover them in the outer layer with moss to retain the moisture. So yeah. Another one is a Hupasia sp. It's a hybrid from Thailand. So, but the old front is a bit yellow due to some harsh sunlight. But I guess it's fine, they're really acclimatized to the conditions. It's going well right now. And other than that, yep, this is all the Tillandsia collections that I have. The reason why I hang them here is they prefer to be growing outdoor, to be honest. You can't be able to grow Tillandsia indoor unless you know how to grow them. And you have to make sure the airflow is good, the ventilation, everything. If you grow them in a toilet, I'm not really advised to you to do that. So I grow them here in the patio. So they receive most of the sunlight here. but it's not harsh. But the Tillandsia that has a really thick trichome, you can see here is a white Tillandsia. It's whiter in general. They prefer to receive more sunlight than usual. Another type of the Tillandsia is this. Is Tillandsia bulbosa, giant. I have it more than 3 years, I think. So this type of green Tillandsia, they prefer to be more shaded in general. And also, I got this from Mr. Fong. It's a Tillandsia Porti. And yep, Alocasia, Albida. I think that's what you can see here. Some of them I can't even remember their name. Sitting pretty, and also this is a Tillandsia Showtime, Extra Star, and some of them, if you let them expose a lot of sunlight, they'll start to appear red in color. This is Tillandsia Left Knot. If they receive right amount of sunlight, right, their foliage will start to appear in red in general. So let me put it back there first. Okay. So this is the part of my patio. If you look into Irene interviewing my garden previously 2 years ago, there's a lot of collections here. So I move out to most of them to outdoor. Some of them propagated and moved to my warehouse. So here will be the place that I propagate, or to have another hobby, probably some frogs. So I try to shift them outside to receive most of the sunlight. Is because the plants outside here is already outgrow to a certain of sizes that they already block out most of the sunlight to receive in patio. So yeah, that's why I have to move them out to my gardens, not in the patios anymore. Let's move on to my backyard garden. Can you see me? So this is Philodendron maximum. I grow it here because, as you can see, I don't have enough space right now. So I have to put it at the back there to let it receive right amount of sunlight. And underneath the foxtail palm, I think it's a good spot for this plant to grow huge. That's why you can see, I think it's already half of my body. So come over here. I actually grow this plant in the pots. Okay, come and have a look. So it starts to blooming right now. It started to bloom. I think it started to bloom, but I don't see anything came out yet. So I grow them in a really chunky media, mixed with a lot of soil, perlite, pumice, compost, and I thought that they would like to climb. So to be honest, this moss pole is not to let them climb. It's actually a support for the plants to be dangling around in my garden. So yeah, hope my neighbor doesn't mind. The plant really grow to their place, you know. Okay, so come over here. So if you look into my garden, there's a front and a back, right? So at the back of the garden, the temperature here is more constant compared to the front garden, and the humidity level here is higher in general. So I grow most of my Anthuriums and Begonias collection here. So come over here, you can see some Anthurium magnificum. This is Anthurium magnificum. To be able to see which one's a real magnificum, the square petiole is almost identical to differentiate which one is magnificum. If you have a D-shaped or over-tubed petiole, I don't think that's a real magnificum that you have there. So over here I have another pot of Alocasia regal shield. This one is bigger than what we see from the previous one. You can see the velvety leaf and the deep burgundy color Aroids. That's why I love them so much. If you plant them in a landscape, it can actually spice up the tropical vibes, you know. And other than that, you can see some Anthuriums I put at the back there. You know, this is Anthurium balauanum. I got this as a free plant from my friend Farron. So I just grow them here. And some of the type of begonias, like I say, I like to climb them together so they can have a constant humidity level. But of course, some type are more fussier than others. So I can see this. Usually this is the heat cause the issues of the leaf to become defected in general. But as long as they are growing, I'm actually okay. So this is a type that begonias are really difficult to grow. We call it Rex begonia. So another type of begonia, if you really want to grow them in the collections, are the cane begonia type. This is the type of begonias that I love to use this as a filling plants in my landscape. So this is a begonia maculata. So another one is begonia Julia. I think it's Julia I got it as a free plant from Irene. And this one is Lonely Rock. I think begonia Lonely Rock is a cultivar of Mosiana variegata. So some more anthuriums here and there, some alocasia, and yeah, sorry, the brown things is actually the spore from the tree ferns here. So some alocasia, some anthuriums here. All right. So as you can see, I love to use tree fern as a plant to create a canopy. So this is another type of tree fern from what we see previously in my fine garden. It's also a Cyathea, but this is a highland fern. They prefer to be more cooler in temperature. And I have no problem growing this plant right now. I have no idea, but it seems to prefer to on this spot. And it creates a shade for my begonias, my alocasia, and some of my anthurium here. So this is Alocasia Colocasia, you know, the leaf here. And the previous leaf has some nutrition deficiency. So it appeared to be this deformity here. So I start to fertilize them with some Vitacoats. So the new leaf here appear to be just fine, as green as previously. So some others Alocasia here. This is I think it's Alocasia watsoniana, or probably just another form of longilomba complex. So other than that, I grow a lot more anthuriums than you think. This is Anthuriums Bese. I got it from Clay, Urban Rare Plant Store, as a seedling plant. They start to produce this in Malaysia from seedling. So I think they are more acclimatized to the conditions in local climates compared to the Ecuador. And this is the hybrid. This has the traits from the parent plant, from Luxurian. You can see the bullatus, the apse looking foliage from Luxurian. And it has the dark foliage also. So you can see here. So I grow them in a really small pot and a really chunky media, and then see the roots are doing quite fine here. You can see. Because the temperature and the humidity level here is more constant compared to the front of my garden. That's why most of my anthuriums prefer to be here. This you can see here. Let me show you one of my favorite anthurium. Anthurium regale. So they start to produce a new leaf right now. I'm quite happy they're doing fine here. So this is Anthurium regale, Forgetii. This leaf a bit beat up, I think from the previous storm, rainy storm, but it's fine. You know, it will grow back another one sooner or later. So you can see here is another form of crystallinum. I love to grow crystallinum because there's various textures and forms of crystallinum out there in the market. And this is another crystallinum that I find in a local nursery. The seller told me it's a crystallinum hybrid, but I don't know what hybrid is it that crossed with. But I just love how symmetrical it looks like and how the lobes present the leaves here, you know. And there's another form of crystallinum I like to show you guys. So let me present you two different forms of crystallinum that I have in my collections. So this is a crystallinum that I like because it has a cleaner window and it's more round in general. It's more rounder in general. And this is the crystallinum that I have in my collections too. So you can see there's more lateral veins around in the window, and it's more elongated. It's more longer in shapes compared to the one on my left. So you can see the difference, you know. The reason why there's so many forms in the market of crystallinum because each of the anthurium grow from different seeds. So different seeds will have different form and traits in general. So it's like your parents having 2 or 3 sons, and you look different from your brother and your sister, right? That's the most easy way and also a most easy analogy to explain why a seedling plant has a different traits and form, when they mature. So I love to grow most of my anthuriums or my Alocasia in transparent pots. The reason why, because I can be able to observe their roots to grow, and also I can observe what's underneath the soil here. So let me show you. This is all the new roots system is developing here. And you can see it's really healthy. And I also be able to observe whether it's time to water the plants or not. This is another heliconia I grow on the ground. It's been here for more than 2 years. If you look into my Instagram highlight, I started my project called Oasis Garden. So I planted this, I think, to be able to create the shades for my Philodendron McDowell. If you look into my Instagram, McDowell is one of my favorite philodendrons. And it started to grow too much. I had to cut them away and then to, give away the propagation to my friends and also grow some in my office. So this is another one that I'd like to show to you guys. Is Philodendron sp. dolichogenium. So I like how elongated the leaves it is. You can see the bigger it gets, right, the elongated the plant will be able to grow. Probably can grow longer than this. It's really similar to the way that I grow asperidens. So I'm having difficulties to grow asperidens because I always have this problem. Probably a lot of people told me that they prefer to be more light compared to other philodendrons, and they don't like too hot in general. So I moved them here. Hopefully they can grow into a big plants in no time. And come over here is the Philodendron McDowell. I believe everyone really know about these plants. I grow them in a really big square pot so that they can crawl around. Oh, sorry guys, this one exposed root is actually a Monstera Brazil form. So I don't have time to repot. I just leave it here. And then the roots start to grow to the ground. And then it starts to develop the rooting system here. But hopefully one day I will try to dig it up and put it in the pot soon. So this is my Anthurium vitafolium. I grow this plant more than 2 years. So it started to get yellowing leaf, yellowing edges. More than 1, 2, 3. I don't know. It has more than 5 plants in a pot, and it's 2 root bound that I will have to use a knife to cut into a few pieces. So I grow them in the orchid pots. You can see the root system here. It's crazy. Yeah. So I guess I'm just gonna wait the right timing to separate them in a few pots. I'm too lazy to propagate it. I'll just hang it here, and hopefully, when the time is right, I will separate them. Other than here, I have more Hupesia here. I love Hupesia so much. I love to grow all kind of Hupesia. This is Hupesia sp. It's cultivar from Thailand. This is another hybrid from Thailand too. It's a Hupesia. I don't know what's the name. They just call it Hupesia sp. It's a hybrid here. So here, and I have another Hupesia I would like to introduce to you guys. Is Hupesia goebii. It's a blue fern Hupesia endemic in Malaysia, Sarawak, Borneo Island. So if the sunlight is good enough, you can see it's actually presented in a blue hue saturation color. That's why it's called blue fern in general. So this is a hardy plant, Hupesia, but it can't be able to take a lot of sunlight. That's why I grow it here compared to the other type of Hupesia. And they prefer to be more humid in general, and you have to make sure the medium is moist all the time. That's why I water them. But they prefer to grow in a more good air ventilations area, so that I grow them in my patio so that my fans can on sometimes. And the wind here is, the airflow here is good. So most of my Hupesia are doing quite fine in my gardens. And yeah, this is another type here. So other than that, Tillandsia, some Tillandsia here and there. I forgot the label. I don't even remember their name. The only one that I remember is this, Tillandsia Queen Charm. I had it a year ago, and it's a hybrid of carbon medusa with celeriana. Forgot, so it's fine. But it's called Colocasia Queen Charm. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. And I would like to summarize it in a really easy phrase so that everyone can understand how can we be able to grow a garden. So for me, garden is a never-ending process. So it's a never-ending process in the sense that we are constantly meddling with the plants we have in our collections. So the only tips that I can be able to giving out to you guys is to never give up, even though the plant is dying. So still remain the hopes, and then try your best to observe the plants and to provide the right conditions for them to grow. In no time, the plants will actually show you their beautiful foliage, and in returns, you are really joyful to see them. And that's all. So leave a comment below and let me know what you guys want to see in my next YouTube channel. And please subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much.